Young lady that was in the audience this afternoon said to me, I told myself yesterday for the first time, I'm proud of me. And she said, I felt good about that. So I'm saying, learn to be your own booster. Start building yourself up. Start encouraging yourself. Start saying, I can do this. I can make this happen. When I started thinking about becoming a speaker, I said, yes, I can do this. I can make this happen. When I start trying to convince myself I can be a businessman after flopping and failing and losing thousands of dollars and feeling stupid and dumb and having people take advantage of me because of what I didn't know, I had to talk to myself because people were saying to me that I was dumb. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I was saying, you're right. Look at what I've done. I had to say, no, Les. Hey, come on, man. Get yourself together. You can handle this. You just haven't figured it out yet. It's all right. This is your training period. This is the tuition you have to pay for what you don't know. You can do this. Other people have done it. It doesn't take an Einstein. Get you some people that can teach you some stuff that you don't know. Get you some people that have done it successfully and learn from them. Take some seminars, workshops, read some books on how to manage a business. Change the way you see yourself and begin to tend to the personal details. Understand that nobody's going to take care of your business better than you. And when I start changing that kind of mindset of beating myself up because of my mistakes and start looking at the possibility of my doing better, of my making the adjustment that would enable me to do what I want to do successfully, things begin to change. And I'm saying, stop beating up on yourself. You do it. I know you do it. I've done it. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. See, we are born negative, I think, in a negative consciousness because we live in a negative world. So you don't have to teach children to lie. They'll lie automatically. Did you wet in your pants? No, I did not. Well, what is that? I don't know. You don't have to encourage kids to misbehave. They will do it by themselves. You don't have to encourage them to do the wrong thing. They will do it automatically. You have to correct their behavior. So I'm saying that we have to work through the challenges of life in learning how to begin to work to fortify ourselves. Repeat after me, please. I can live my dream. I can find my purpose in life and live my purpose. I deserve more for myself. I deserve more from life. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you deserve more from life too. Here's what happened. This guy John Rogers wrote this. He said, when people take the courage to journey into the center of their fear, they find nothing. It is only many layers of fear being afraid of itself. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I've lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you cannot do. See, that's what the volcano is. It is the thing that we cannot do. And because it is that, we must do that. Once fear is acted upon, the death of fear is certain. So what volcano you have in your life? Let me ask you some questions here. If you had 6 months to live, what would you do differently with your life? What would you do differently? Would you have the same job? Would you be worried about things that you're worried about right now? Would you have the same relationships? Would you have the same people in your life? I was sitting on the House of the Ohio legislative floor. I'd just been elected for the 3rd time as the chairman of the Human Resource Committee. Powerful, prestigious position. And I was reading a book on how to manage your time in your life, and it talked about what are your long-range goals 2 to 3 years from now, what are your short-range goals, 6 months goals, and then it said, if you had 3 months to live, what would you spend your time doing? So I wrote down I would spend my time, one thing, I would resign from the legislature, I would go and back to Miami, and I would buy my mother home, something I'd promised myself that I was going to do, and I had continued to procrastinate and put all kind of reasons why I couldn't do it. And, I wanted to make sure that she was financially secure, my children would be financially secure. And I would do lectures, and I would go around talking to people and working with kids. That's what I said I would do.
that's so important in this life. This life doesn't have enough of that. There's not enough struggle. You don't get to know yourself without struggle. You don't get to know your boundaries unless you push them. You don't get to know who you are really unless you're tested.
If you sacrifice and make the sacrifices each day, then you'll see the gains, man. It's all about a mindset. It's all about sacrificing and being willing to go through what it takes, you know? And when I say that, I'm talking about discipline, desire, the determination, the dedication. Don't be lazy. You're not going to go far in life if you choose not to practice.
If you have discipline, if you have willpower, the more you use them, the stronger they get.
You're spectacular. You're all capable of being world leaders. You transform yourself into something that's articulated and sensible and grounded in history and knowledgeable and wise. You can do anything you want, hopefully anything you want for good.
Ask yourself, like, how bad do you want to try living an extraordinary life? One shot. Why not give it your all? Why not fight that urge not to, take the risk, not to do the things that you feel uncomfortable with doing? It's the only way forward. It's done. Do it for yourself. You have to understand that nobody gives a shit about what you do with your life. And I don't mean this in a rude way. If someone sees my success, they'll be like, oh, they'll forget about it in a few seconds and start thinking about their own problems again. That's how the world works. Everybody's kind of centered around themselves. So you gotta find the energy every single day to do it for yourself, not for the rest of the world, because they don't care. Everybody else is focused on their own problems and their own life. They'll give you a little bit of attention, but they'll go right back to their own.
Everything in your life happens for you, not to you. I'm just a huge believer in that. And so my baseball dream ended. I had an injury, probably gave me a premature end to occur that would have ended anyways in hindsight, because I played with enough great players that I kind of know there was a gap in just God-given ability level, not work ethic, but I think to be the greatest, there has to be some proclivity for it and work ethic, right? And so I kind of maxed out my limited abilities. And so when I got released, I ended up moving back home with my parents. I couldn't find a job. I was depressed. I spent about a year at my parents' house, just broke in every way, financially, spiritually, mentally, physically. I remember my dad came home. My dad had just got sober. And my dad said to me, hey, I met this guy at a meeting. I got you a job. You get your ass down there tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Getting out of this house and getting a job. And I'm like, okay, I have a college degree. I'm being picky for a year, watching Maury Povich reruns every day on TV and Jerry Springer. I go down there at 6 a.m. I walk in, I said, hey, my name's Eddie Milet. I'm here for the job. They're like, what job? I remember this vividly, right? And I'm like, I don't know. They just told me you'd know. And they go, well, we have no idea who you are and we don't know what the job is. They said, do you know who's hiring you? I said, I don't remember. And they go, well, then you need to come back. And I go to the door and I go, wait a minute, his name's Tim. They're like, there's a lot of Tims. And I go, well, I know he must be an alcoholic because he was at a meeting with my dad last night. They go, oh, drunk Tim, we know Tim, right? And where I was a place called McKinley Home for Boys. It was a group home, a campus of group homes. All my boys were wards of the court. They were removed from their family either because their parents were incarcerated, killed, or were molesting them. And I ended up in Cottage 8. Cottage 8, I had 12 boys. They were 7 to 10 years old. And I walked through that door that morning, not even knowing what the job was, and it transformed my life. I mean, in an instant, brother. I just saw these eyes, these little boys, and they just wanted someone to love them and believe in them and care about them. And I'd have this big belief that people that go through any dysfunction in their family or abuse as a kid, I think our eyes are different. We just have these different eyes, man. And so I could connect with these guys. Mine wasn't as severe as theirs, but I knew what it was like to have that kind of anxiety and that kind of stress and that kind of pressure put on you as a little boy. And I became like their father. I was there with them on Christmas, Halloween, and their birthdays, and I lived with them. And it changed my world because in that instant, I went from being this athlete who was ego, recognition, significance, gonna get rich, it's all about me. Always when you're a good athlete, you knew this growing up, was always accolades. All of a sudden in that instant, it became about serving people, making a difference. So I'm like, oh, this is what makes me happy. Oh, I was actually born to serve and help people. Crazy. No one, that never happened playing baseball. And while I worked there, 2 years into it, the financial business that I'm in came along. And I started in it part-time, and I was the rare young businessman who approached the business world from a place of service and giving and not making money. And ironically, the more I served people, the more I made a difference, the more I contributed, the more I was rewarded financially. I didn't do it for that reason, but that's what happened. So that's how I got into the business, was actually, and again, everything, my dad wasn't an alcoholic. He's not at that meeting. I don't get that job. And if it wasn't an alcoholic, I wouldn't have connected with those boys. So all of that in hindsight happened for me, right? And had I met the financial business before that, I'd have flown out of it. I'd have been about ego, making money, and when that didn't happen, I'd have left. And so it all happened in the right sequence.
If you are passionate about wanting to achieve success in that class, he or she will bend over backwards to help you. But if you settle for mediocrity and never say anything, you are setting yourself up to fail. And failure, my friend, is not in your DNA. I promise. You're not the first person to question whether or not they have what it takes to achieve at a high level. I promise. You're not the first person to feel like they are underperforming. I promise. You are not the first person to feel like their brain is about to explode. Listen to me. Those that can push through no matter what storms arise are in the small minority, that small percentile of those that ultimately break through and make their goals and dreams a reality. So the reality is this. You were born with everything you need to pass every class with flying colors. You were born with everything you need to overcome the anxiety that may pop up from time to time on a mission to derail your lifelong hopes, dreams, and aspirations. See, my favorite acronym is HWPO. And just in case you forget, or just in case you don't know, that means hard work pays off.
Follow your passion and not chase money. And you'll hear people say that, and it doesn't make sense because they think like, it sounds like such a like abstract thing, like follow your passion. You know, it's like this, like a positive thinking mantra or whatever. But the reality is that business is really, 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 really hard. And if you're in business and you're doing it just for the money and you're not doing it because you really care, what's going to happen is when things get tough, it's going to be easy for you to quit, because the money is not enough reward. You know, it has to come down to doing something that you're passionate about, something that you love, something that you want to get up and do every day, because that way when you're not making money and the money's not there, you still do it anyway and you get better anyway. So it makes it easier for you to continue to get better and improve, which is what's required for you to ultimately reach the goal. So I really think that following a passion is a requirement of being successful, for the simple fact that it makes it almost impossible to quit. You know, so try to figure out what it is you're passionate about, what it is that you enjoy, and you're going to naturally become better. You're going to naturally endure the times of when it's hard because you love it.